Hey guys, Eli here from Nintendo Network 64. Today I'll be reviewing The Wolf Among Us for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. Yes, Telltale Games has absolutely struck gold again with the first season of The Wolf Among Us. This is no ordinary story of a bunch of displaced fables that end up in a real-life city like New York. Telltale's story in The Wolf Among Us is so much more than that. What makes Telltale's new episodic series so good is the way that it tells an incredibly gripping story. One which not only has unforeseen plot twists, but a story that also has incredible character development and relationship building. Players take control of the main protagonist, the Big Bad Wolf, or Bigby for short. Bigby is retired from his previously evil ways and now acts as the sheriff of all the fables of New York. Bigby is charged with keeping peace among the fables when one night he finds a murder on the front of his doorstep. Players then take the helm as Bigby as they try to solve the murders while continuing to keep the peace within Fabletown. As with The Walking Dead, gameplay within The Wolf Among Us concentrates on the dialogue that players engage in with other characters. Very little of the game is centered upon point-and-click puzzle solving, but The Wolf Among Us functions much better as a result. No longer do players have to fumble with confusing no-sense puzzles when they can instead concentrate their efforts on solving a murder and forming relationships with other characters. This is why The Wolf Among Us shines. Whereas in The Walking Dead, puzzles felt a little bit like a hold-up to the wonderful story, The Wolf Among Us features episodes filled to the brim with an exciting story and fast-paced action sequences. Where Telltale's newest adventure truly shines is not only in the plot itself, but within the character relationships that it builds. The dialogue choices allow Bigby to ally himself with certain characters while alienating others, allow him to do morally good or the lawfully just. In The Wolf Among Us, there is simply no right or wrong. It's just your story and the player chooses how to live through it. In fact, The Wolf Among Us does such a good job at keeping players emotionally engaged that even I, for the first time ever, killed a person in my game when given a choice whether to spare him or not. The Wolf Among Us is exactly what it advertises, expertly tests the player in self-control to see if their inner wolf comes out or not. Unfortunately, since the game is so dense in terms of content and story, the game is rather short. Each episode runs players $5, but runs roughly 90 minutes. Replayability is useless in The Wolf Among Us due to the fact that replaying The Wolf Among Us is just like watching the same TV show over and over again. It simply becomes boring. Therefore, those looking to pick up The Wolf Among Us should take into consideration the duration of the title and perhaps wait for a sale on the game if the length of the game is a concern. Finally, it is important to call out Telltale on a very important issue. No matter how many episodes of their games Telltale has released on consoles, they still run like utter dog crap. Throughout The Wolf Among Us, I was met up with freezing, screen tearing, dropped frames, unimaginably long loading screens, and other graphical hiccups. Telltale needs to understand that it is no longer just a small developer releasing small games, as it now creates large-selling titles. Telltale no longer has a get-out-of-jail-free pass, and if the company continues to release bad games from a technical standpoint, then it will negatively influence them in the future. Overall, The Wolf Among Us is yet another great episodic release from Telltale. Not only does the game tell an engrossing narrative of Fabletown, but it also successfully weaves interesting relationships and interaction throughout the duration of the game. It is unfortunate that the great episodes are so short and technically the game runs very badly, but all those who choose to depart into the land of the fables will not regret doing so. This game gets a 9 out of 10. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. It really helps, and see you guys next time for another review.